What's up, brother?
I'm a little nervous because I've never actually met Brian. Some kind of
Yeah, he's a weird motherfucker. Trust me.
kind of make me nervous.
It's going to make you more nervous as time goes on.
Is he looking at me?
He's going to have a few comments that are just going to...
My God, dude, he's looking at me. He looked right at me.
He does. He does look at people. He doesn't know the effect he has on folks.
Aren't you from Ohio originally?
Originally from Ohio.
Yeah. I'm also from
then
Ohio also.
Hmm?
I'm also from Ohio also, and so I
left.
You left
to go to Michigan.
Oh, what?
Uh-huh.
I see what's going on
These
here.
Ohio people like
And
to
we've
stick together.
and as a just as a thank you for letting me leave, we gave you Detroit. So Detroit is now Northern Ohio.
Right,
You're welcome.
thanks a lot.
That's sweet. Bears are moving into Detroit.
Do you still do a lot of art? Because I know you went to college for art, and a lot of your videos are very art based. Do you personally do any art still, or were you really ever into doing it?
I think I was more like the director, producer. You know, like I was kind of into the coordinating of getting artists in a room to do things. But as far as the actual talent, I can't. I can barely draw.
How did you become a lead singer of a band then?
Accidentally. I was the loudest asshole in the room.
You were the most bold?
Uh-huh. I was the guy who thought I had something to say.
Well, I dug your music, man, but of course, like everybody, but I really became a fan when I read this piece that you wrote on Hicks and Gracie, where you just nailed it. You nailed the essence of
the balance article.
jiu-jitsu, and yeah. And Hickson himself is a fascinating guy. There's very few people that I've met that you meet him and like right away you know there's something different about this cat. And Hickson is an incredibly intense guy. It's so rare you find a real martial arts master. So sort of a cliche term that we think of in terms of like movies. The one man who is the master, who has it all in control.
Well, not to take anything away from Hickson, but I've actually learned more from training with Hoyler.
Hoyler's amazing.
Yeah, because when you travel around, I can't train consistently, so I can't just walk into a dojo and just throw my gi and expect not to have my ass handed to me and then not be able to do the show. Right. So I just do privates, and I just do them with the guys who are as old or older than me, so they don't have anything to prove. So it's just like, hey, let's just have some fun, and rather than trying to put a notch in their belt with my blood.
Well, none of the older guys would do that anyway. Especially when you get to a black belt level, no one's trying to.
No, they're very cool about it. But I can't just walk into a room and just dive into a class.
Did you used to do that? Did you used to take classes?
Yeah, earlier on, and that's how I got injured. You walk into the wrong place that they think for some reason you're, challenging their manhood, and all of a sudden it's like, dude, you're rolling into any dojo you're rolling into, you're like, you might as well be somebody's child.
The real problem is that blue belt to purple belt stage where you're just trying to get as many kills as you can, and it's like anyone that comes along, look at this guy, he's only 140 pounds, so that's a kill. What an incredible family. I want to talk about a family that's had an impact on martial arts. It's really an amazing thing that in the 1990s, with all we thought we knew about martial arts, this one family from Brazil can have this monstrous impact.
And it's funny how, when now you know that, and you still see guys pimping their, dance theater.
Yeah. Sort of. Much more rare.
Square dance.
Much more rare than ever before. There's still a few holdouts that are teaching some silly form of something.
I had a friend who was working with a band, and he's a solid practitioner. Finally got his black belt, but he just he does security. He's doing mainly director of security and for these different tours. And this particular one, he wasn't doing any martial arts. He was just doing his job and directing what was going on. And then one of the artists was flying this guy in and paying him all this money to do this kung fu stuff. And he's being respectful. He's just letting that, not my place to even insert into that, but he's would always like to angle into getting an opportunity on the road, because when you're traveling, trying to train and trying to do that stuff it's almost impossible. It's really hard to do. And so, if there's any way he can work into at least getting to train with them, that'd be great. So you know, whenever the opportunity presented itself, he's like, you know, I also, you know, train on do jiu-jitsu. Would love to jump in with you guys at some point just to get a workout in or something. And the guy basically said, look, if I'm, you know, he wasn't responding to him. So he's like, finally went, look, you know, what we do is like, you know, university level. That jiu-jitsu thing is like kindergarten. So my buddy's like, okay, it's on. So he calls Henzo and says, Henzo, I'm on the East Coast. I need a place to go train, and this is what happened. And Henzo's like, what? Bring that motherfucking kung fu motherfucker down to the... It was so amazing that, like, so, you know, this guy is, now he's kind of cornered. He's he's kind of basically challenged my friend, and my friend's trying to be as respectful as possible. Just going, the guy just kept going and going about with, you know, the disrespect talk.
Well, and that's how you know he sucks, most likely.
Like, you know, they did some stuff, and it was over so fast that finally Henzo kept going, okay, now you can't hit him, you can't tackle him, you can't use your arm. Like, he kept like taking things away from my guy to make it so that
and he was
it was just destroying him. And it was like just embarrassing. So the guy who's been paying this guy this money this whole time is looking at this going, what the fuck have I been paying for?
Nonsense. Yeah. There's a lot of that out there.
Square dancing.
Well, for the longest time, that was the majority of martial arts was fuckery. You know, I mean, most of the schools you would find on corners. Right. My friend Eddie had a guy that he was taking kung fu from, and the guy went to China to learn secret techniques under this deadly master. And then he found the guy supposed to be in China. He found his fucking car at the supermarket parking lot. And he found the guy in the suit. Like, what the fuck, man? I thought you were in China.
Oh, yeah,
Like,
yeah. I mean, I'm on my way to China.
Trips.
Chinatown. Yeah. I was going to Chinatown.
It's, you know,
it's
it was
a secret.
It was a hustle. For a long time, all you had to do was pretend. You just had to, like, throw some techniques that you learned from. I mean, you could watch a Jean-Claude Van Damme movie and kind of get a good idea how he's moving his body and sort of recreate that. And if you were really crazy, next thing you know, you could have a school where you're teaching your own style of self-defense that's completely ineffective.
I want to do one that's like it's, you know, practical fighting where you're actually, you know, you're going to be in a bar, so you might as well be drunk. So we call it just beer sando. And you just show up and you immediately pound a six-pack, and then we start training.
That's a good idea.
Brian, we got to throw your chair away.
I know.
It's dead.
I think it's
Why don't you grab one of these other ones?
All right.
These other ones that don't get used as much, don't squeak as much. Yeah.
I thought that was his back.
No, but imagine if it was. That would be one of the worst feelings ever if you dedicated a massive amount of your life to some bullshit and then it's just exposed in front of you like that.
Right.
That happens to a lot of martial artists, man. I've met a lot of people who, you know, whether it was Taekwondo or whatever traditional martial art that had a giant hole in it, and they didn't even realize that.
Well, it was the same with my friend. He was a black belt in I think Taekwondo, and he rolled into Rodrigo Baji's place in St. Louis and went, okay, you know, whatever this is, let me just show you. And he just had his ass handed to him, like, repeatedly. And he went, okay, I'm sold.
Yeah, I was a black belt in Taekwondo before I ever did jiu-jitsu. And when I first did jiu-jitsu, there was this kid that I'll never forget, this purple belt kid, my age, my size. There was nothing special about him. And he used to just maul me. Every class, he would maul me. It was like I was a baby. Like I couldn't do anything to him. I couldn't defend myself. I'd be exhausted. He'd just fucking strangle me and I'd have to tap. It was just so humiliating and humbling. You know, I remember thinking, wow, I was walking around not even knowing somebody my size could do that to me. I had no idea. Really had no idea. I was just living in a completely delusional world of martial arts prowess.
Well, you have to remember that the reason that we're here at all is at some point during our human development, we, you know, instinctively and just accidentally realized that we can't rely on our strength or speed. We had to rely on our brain. So, because, you know, we don't just run out and grab the lion and rip its head off. We had to run from it and find a stick and sharpen it and, you know, go out in teams and, you know, take down the elephant with 5 guys, you know. So that, you know, so when you think of martial arts in that manner, you start to realize how important the mental game is as opposed to just the physical game.
Well, especially in jiu-jitsu, it's one of the rare martial arts where technique is really the most important aspect of of the practice. And when you get a really big, strong guy, it's actually a disadvantage for a strong guy to learn jiu-jitsu because the best technical guys are always small, weaker guys because they have to be technical. There's nothing they can muscle or force. Whereas the big guys, they can get away with some sloppy shit because of the fact that they're big and strong. So they're really hindering themselves by using strength. I mean, there's no sport like that, and no martial art even like that. I mean, technique is very important in kickboxing, but athleticism and speed is equally important. You know, if you're very technical but slow, it really won't work. In jiu-jitsu, these guys, the saddest thing about rolling with someone like a Hickson or a Jean-Jacques Machado is like they don't even try. Like, it's not like they're straining and moving hard. They just slowly, oh, my friend, oh, you're on your back again. Oh, you better protect this arm because this is the one I'm going
10,
for.
9, 8, 7. You're like, what's he going to do? And then he does it, and you go, okay.
Hickson would do that to black belts. He would pick an arm and tell them, I'm going to get your right arm in an arm bar. And you're like, there's no fucking way. I'm going to chicken wing this motherfucker.
My arm's over there. Like, how are you going to get me in an arm bar? And all of a sudden he's over there and you're tapping out.
Yeah, I didn't know that there was something like that before. And once you understand like how technical jiu-jitsu is, it really becomes so fascinating. Josh Waitzkin is a famous chess player. He was that movie Searching for Bobby Fischer was based on him. And he sort of got disillusioned with chess after a while, got bored with it, and devoted the same energy to jiu-jitsu. And he's one of Marcelo Garcia's proteges now, and he, than you would if you were
What's
just.
His name?
His name is Josh Waitzkin.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's a guy that trains out of Henzo's studio in New York. I think his name's John.
John Danaher, maybe.
God, man.
Yeah, he's a beast.
And it's just like it's like like the chess. You watch his brain going, okay, this is this millimeter, and this is this
he was
millimeter.
a philosophy student. He was a university student, and he was bouncing. That's what he was doing for fun, or to pay bills. And along the way, someone said, hey, you should learn some jiu-jitsu, and he became completely obsessed. Sleeps on the mats. I mean, literally teaches all day. I mean, Danaher is a legend in jiu-jitsu circles. It's what happens when a super intelligent guy gets physically absorbed in a sport. Yeah, he's just he works with a lot of top guys. Like he's always in George St. Pierre's corner. There's a lot of good guys that come out of his gym, and there's guys who give good instruction, and there's guys who suck in the corner. In the corner, there's some guys who just, you listen to them, and I have to do everything I can and not criticize them. I'm like, what the fuck are you saying to that guy? Like, this is nonsense. Like, you don't
hit him.
You're better off saying nothing because you're putting in like an air of despair and idiocy into this cage. They say such stupid shit, but not Danaher, man. Danaher is like super precise. You need to hold your left hand slightly higher, your chin tucked, shoulders up. Move to your right side. If he's throwing the left, first duck under, then go for a single. The single does not work. You transition to a double. Have water. Drink. Deep breath, and you're like, whoa. This motherfucker just got schooled. Yeah. You hear him talk, and you know, this guy knows exactly what I'm supposed to do. If I could just listen to this guy, I think I'm going to be okay. It's a crazy world, the world of intelligence and risk in martial art. And that's what people, like, for the wrong reasons, associate martial arts, and especially associate competition, with meatheads, assholes, dummies. But the most brilliant minds and some of the most interesting people that I've ever met were martial arts practitioners, because there's a certain amount of calculation you have to do while under extreme duress and pressure, and there's a risk involved, and the risk is like physical health, and all of those together create an incredible reward when you're successful. The reward is amazing, but the downside is like, man, for most people the down is too low and they avoid it. And that's the people that can make their way through those waters, the strongest salmon who get up that waterfall, are, to me, some of the most interesting people that I've ever met.
Yep, I would have to agree.
You're seeing the essence of what this is all about. How long have you been doing jiu-jitsu now?
I started in the mid to late 90s. I've only done it, on and off now, whenever I can.
And then when you go from that mode into musician mode, do you just do it based on your schedule? Like whenever your time becomes free, you go, okay, starting in
it's
October or whatever.
There's a little bit more emotion, a little bit more randomness with that. You kind of have to ride those waves a little bit. But in a way, when you have enough time under your belt, you can kind of force the situation. You can, a lot of times I just get in my my truck, and I got a decent stereo in the truck, and I got the tracks, and I just, that way nobody can mess with me. I can't get a phone call, nobody's knocking on the door. I just go park somewhere and turn the music up with a notepad and start writing, because nobody, now you're in your world. If I'm in my house, you know, the phone's going to ring. I'm going to check my email. And it's like, so much for writing.
Yeah, that's why I write when everyone's asleep. I don't even start until 11 p.m., 12 p.m. Everyone in my house has to be asleep. I like it when people around me are asleep, too. I like to think the neighbors are asleep. I like to think that I'm not picking up any weird vibes from anybody.
Right.
Everybody's in Z zone.
Right.
You know. But do you, when you write, do you have like specific times where you set aside time to write, or you just try to do it whenever the creative whim?
The whim, you know, just kind of do it. You know, it'll be like focused periods of time. Like this week is gonna be dedicated to. And same thing with training. If I'm going to train, or if I'm going to be doing jujitsu, I'm going to do any of that stuff, I will hire somebody to be there, because now I have to do it.
Right.
So if I have friends that were, you know, musician friends, they've flown out, we're going to write this week. Okay, I'm in my truck. I'm over here. I'm going to come in and we're going to track some stuff. That didn't work. Back to the truck.
Why Arizona?
That's where I live. I hate LA. Hate your town. Sorry.
Well, it's not mine, but I don't like it either. I tried to escape.
Don't get me wrong, I got a lot out of this town. Things, you know, odd things happened for me. Here, just kind of, you know, set the ball in motion. I mean, there's, you know, I was doing a lot of things with my life before I moved to LA, and there's a lot of achievements and things that I'd kind of done for myself. And but then it wasn't until I was actually in LA in a band where somebody was profiting on my decision making that you actually heard about me. So, you know, there's a lot of things that I was kind of doing before I got here, and then I fell into the band thing, and that kind of got popular, and that was why I actually stuck here for as long as I did, because I just, within like a couple of years, I was like, this is not for me. I need to be in a small town.
Now, the area you're at is like, that's like a haunted Wild West town, right?
It's an old mine. It's an old copper mining town. It's like $1 billion copper mine. It had this huge ore body underneath this side of this hill. $1 billion worth of copper, and that was like, you know, 1920s, 1930s billions. So it was a huge ore body, like big enough to put a cathedral in. The hole in the ground that they took all the copper out.
And did you just pick this area because it just seemed like an interesting area, or you like the vibe of it?
No, I had a dream. I was supposed to be out of fucking LA.
You had a dream?
Yeah, and I just kept having this recurring dream, and it's like you know, it was very specific images and place, and you know, for some reason I thought it was Arizona, and I remember talking to Hicks about it, like going, I think I'm supposed to be in Arizona, and I mentioned it to Tim, and you know, I said, I've been to Phoenix, I'm not having it, and I described the dream, and Tim went, oh, I know where that is. So yeah, because he's from Arizona, and so he went, okay, I have to take you someplace. We drove up there and like rolling into that valley, just going, holy shit, this is the place.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got up to the town, and it's like, no shit.
Do you interact with the townsfolk? Because to me, that's the hardest thing about moving to anywhere. It's you got to find cool people.
I am the absolute troublemaker in that town.
Really? That's my problem with LA, is that LA is where my friends are, and if I had to move to another place, I'd have to deal with a bunch of fucking people and all their nonsense. You know, unless you bring everybody with you.
Which is also
Could start a compound.
good. Yeah. Whatever the hell it was that went over there on the 5 and the 134 today. Hey, we just decided to shut this ramp down.
Well, have you ever flown into LAX and you see the 405 and you see literally 7, 8, 9, 10 miles of stopped cars?
And you crawl into your overhead bin and hope that they just let you go back to Tokyo.
It's just like, what the fuck is that? This is craziness. This is just, we're just banking on nothing going wrong ever in a place where the earth moves.
Yeah.
Yet here I am, like an idiot. I'm trying to get out. I'm working on it right now.
Okay.
I'm working on my next move.
Any minute now.
I tried Colorado for a little bit. It's a long story. But my dog got eaten by a mountain lion. I came back.
Yeah, Colorado's a weird one. Like, you go to Denver, and there's that area where almost everybody's missing an eye, an arm, or in a wheelchair or a walker. It's like a weird, like a Twin Peaks, but like on steroids area. And you kind of go, would have contests. Like, okay, we're here for 24 hours. Whoever can count the most wheelchairs, and you know, 3 points for a wheelchair, 1 point for like a missing arm. Maybe people coming back to, like, you know, the sound check going, I got 40 points.
Really? What area of Denver is this?
It's right on that 16th Street promenade area, right there in the center of town. There, it's insane. You're there for, if you're there for longer than 12 hours, you start going, what's going on here? Some kind of, is there like a, are they testing out these things? Are these people actually in them?
I've never noticed. I picked Denver because it's got a strong medical marijuana community. And so once you get used to the way they have it set up in L.A., you can't deal with the nonsense of dealing with drug dealers. It becomes so stupid. But Denver is set up pretty much exactly like L.A. is. Denver and Boulder. There's places everywhere. They have I think they call it Broadsterdam. They have one area where it's I think it's Broadway, where there's like bakery shops and the whole deal. It's got they have like a sensible liberal vibe, Denver, and Boulder's a little bit more radical, but Denver has like a sensible, open-minded vibe. Like they support guns and they support hunting and they support outdoors activities, but they're also in favor of gay marriage and they're also in favor of not discriminating, and so it's a very interesting. So that's why I picked it, but Arizona always scared me, man.
Yeah, it's definitely a scary place in terms of all those things you just mentioned, but I think all that stuff's kind of changing there, because you can't have something that's so far one way and not have a pushback, and have a community that's just the complete polar opposite, and it's absolutely there. So eventually it'll just kind of come around. I mean, there's definitely a lot of just change in general happening with just the way we think about stuff, and I don't know about you, but I've had like the gyroscopes were off.
The cycle, like a vibe?
No, I think I still kind of feel it a little bit, but I kind of called a friend who, she's as crazy as I am, really. She's like, she does Kundalini yoga, like she wakes up at 4 a.m. to watch the sunrise and do the breath of fire, and so she's, either she's a complete kook and I drank the Kool-Aid, or we're onto something here. But, she says, just funny you should ask that, because that's kind of what she's seeing in her world, how everything's just, the gyroscopes are just kind of off, and the biggest thing she was suggesting, and I've done some reading on it as well, is like it's just more a matter of paying attention, not letting it get to you, not being like all Tony Robbins and get all positive grinny guy, but just like know that it's all going to work out, and don't let the petty shit get you down. Don't let the dark stuff sink in, because it's almost like you're in a record groove. You're in the light groove, and if you flop over to the dark groove, you kind of get stuck in that groove, and it's kind of a downward spiral. Like in a way, you have to kind of just not hang on out of fear, just kind of settle in calmly. And just like we're talking about with the jiu-jitsu, the guy's big and he's strong and he's got technique, but you just have to take a deep breath and some level know that one way or another it's all going to work out.
These Kundalini yoga people are fascinating. A buddy of mine has a friend who does the same thing every morning. She does the breath of fire, and she claims to achieve psychedelic states. Mm-hmm. She says that because of all her years of practice, it's just like as if she's taking heavy drugs. Mm-hmm. She goes to other worlds and communicates with entities, and and has what she describes as indescribable experiences. She said, if I told you what I could do just with my own breath exercises in Kundalini yoga, you wouldn't believe me. Right.
And most of my friends that are into that stuff, into that deep, they don't talk about it just because it's such an individual experience. And I had another friend who similar path, and she kind of grew up in the 60s when everybody's doing acid and stuff, and she had mentioned that it was cool for the jump start for people to kind of get into that consciousness and be thinking on that level, but at the same time they didn't really do the work to get there, so they really didn't understand what it was they were experiencing. So in a way, she called it spiritual theft. Where you're like, all of a sudden you're just right in the middle of this thing, but you don't really have any business being there.
Right.
You can't really process what it is that you're experiencing.
Recreational mushroom trips.
Yeah, and so so you're like, here you are, and then for most people that's lights out for them. They're going to be a little marred for the rest of their lives. But I kind of agree with that. I think that some of the work, taking that time and really taking your time getting to those states, or just in your life in general, and doing anything. But it's really difficult for most people these days because they want what they want when they want it because they're so used to getting whatever the fuck it is they want when they want it. And when they don't get it, they lose their shit.
Yeah, which is exactly opposite of the psychedelic experience, what it would teach you. I think the approach is so important, and doing the work and saying doing the work is so important because you're treating whatever this experience is going to be with a deep amount of respect. Mm-hmm. And unless you do that, I don't think you're really going to get the most out of it. I mean, if you just go into it and try to just let it cure you or let it figure you out or you're just going to be too blown away with the whole thing to really absorb any of it.
Right.
Doing the work, and like one of the things that I really appreciated about the people that really get into Kundalini yoga is they all seem legit. I haven't met anybody who claims these psychedelic states who doesn't really seem like a humbled person. It really seems like there's never any weird ego shit or weird trace of bullshit. It seems like this is just what they do, and they'll talk to you about it and they'll describe it to you. But they say it's not about the psychedelic state of it. It's all about just like sort of a.
It's about knowing that it's going to go, knowing that it's all going to work out.
Yeah.
And we might not even be included in this form that we're in, and how it's going to work out. And if you can let go of the fear of worrying about whether that's going to happen or not, as soon as you can just let go of that fear and just, let go.
Just appreciate what is. Appreciate what is. Don't worry about what can, what would, what may. Appreciate what is, and know that even if it doesn't work out, it's going to work out. Because it's all works out, even if it doesn't work out.
Exactly.
It's too hard for us to wrap our heads around how big the whole picture is. When you realize that, what is the Woodstock song? We are stardust. We are golden. We are billion-year-old carbon. Well, we really are fucking.
Joni Mitchell.
Yeah. Joni Mitchell and who was Crosby, Stills?
They covered it, yeah.
They covered it? Is that what it was?
That's her song, yeah.
Brilliant song. And it's so true. This is the thing that people don't understand. A human being is actually made because a star burns out, explodes. And it has to happen. If it doesn't happen, you don't make those materials. Right. And human life, carbon-based life forms don't exist. So even if it doesn't work out, it works out.
Right. But, you can understand in the state that we're in and, this real tactical existence that we live, you get caught up with the game, you kind of get into the fear.
Yeah.
And that's part of it.
Super easy.
So it's okay, but every now and then you get kind of wrapped up in it. And I remember like last week, the same guy, the jiu-jitsu guy that I was telling you about, Todd, he's just out of the blue texted me like, so man, how's it going? Like, it's almost like intuition, like, how's it going? Like, funny you should ask, because it's been a shitstorm the whole week. And he goes, oh, well, let me just give you this. And he sent me this. Hopefully I brought it. He sent me this thing. I ended up forwarding it to a bunch of people because I knew a bunch of other people were going through some weird shit. And may I?
Sure, please.
So live your life that the fear of death can never enter your heart. Trouble no one about their religion, respect others in their view, and demand that they respect yours. Love your life, perfect your life, beautify all things in your life. Seek to make your life long in its purpose in the service of your people. Prepare a noble death song for the day when you go over to the Great Divide. Always give a word or a sign of salute when meeting up or passing a friend, even a stranger, when in a lonely place. Show respect to all people and grovel to none. When you arise in the morning, give thanks for the food and for the joy of living. If you see no reason for giving thanks, the fault lies only in yourself. Abuse no one and no thing, for abuse turns the wise ones into fools and robs the spirit of its vision. When it comes your time to die, be not like those whose hearts are filled with fear and death, so that their time comes, they weep, they pray for more little time, and live their lives again over and over in a different way. Instead, sing your death song and die like a hero going home.
That's fucking beautiful.
Yeah,
That's
so
awesome.
I'm like, so of course all my friends are like, well, who wrote that? So I had to go back to him and go, where'd you get that? He goes, a homeless dude gave it to me.
Wow.
It's Jesus.
It's like, please don't say it's L. Ron Hubbard.
we got.
That would be my luck. Like, oh, Adolf Hitler.
Well, it sounds like I believe.
But it's Chief Tecumseh, Crouching Tiger from the Shawnee Nation.
Whoa.
He died in 1813.
Wow. Wow. That makes it even more cool because I thought it was some new age douchebag who probably
A dude
pilfered
from-
some stuff off the internet and pieced it together.
Yeah.
No, that's perfect.
Yeah.
Wow. I agree with everything he said except for making fun of religion.
You go, girl.
Other than that, he's got me. I think religion has to be made fun of because if you can't make fun of things that are ridiculous, you're missing out on a big part of what's fun about this life. And religion's ridiculous. Respect it, but make fun of it.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Other than that, I'm down. I'm down with the Shawnee Warriors.
Yeah, that was great that he's some homeless dude.
Well, we lost such a massive chunk of what those people had learned about living like this life of nomadic life of following animals and following herds of buffalo around and learning about the connection between. I mean, you got to think about the deep respect Native Americans had for the animals that they killed, and it's such an interesting way of life they kept up for so long, while most of the Western world had already moved on to riding horses and kingdoms and houses and agriculture, and these people were just traveling around and living off the land.
Mm-hmm.
It's just so much wisdom we could have learned from those people, and it was wiped out. It's a weird time when you think about that. That was just a couple of 100 years ago, a blip in human civilization, and there was these nomadic people, living in this area. Yeah, it's like you root against us. I mean, that's what Avatar is.
Yeah.
I mean, Avatar is
You don't think they're
essentially-
coming back?
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, that was the first ship.
Unobtainium?
That was-
Worth billions of dollars? I think obtainium. And we're coming back, and we're going to
That-
obtain it.
I mean, that was the Santa Maria, right? The Avatar ship. That was
Yeah.
the beginning of the first
Yeah.
wave of the
No.
fuckers. Yeah. Yeah, New Mexico is a fascinating area. I think that's where Val Kilmer went and grew his head. That's where I was
It's a
watching.
magical space.
I was watching The Ghost in the Darkness the other day. Val Kilmer moved to New Mexico and just bought a ranch and just grew his head.
Yeah.
I don't know what the fuck happened, but in this Ghost in the Darkness, I'm like, Jesus Christ, I was a handsome man. I mean,
Yeah.
he was stunning. I mean,
Yeah.
some just decided, I like pills better, and just moved to New Mexico.
He did that movie a couple years ago with Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah, what was that crazy movie? He's shrunk a little.
Yeah, he shrunk
He's
a
got it
little
under
for that
control.
one. Yeah,
Yeah, it seems like you realize
that was
like,
actually a
what the
fun
fuck
movie.
am I doing?
I kind of liked it.
Yeah, it was a fun movie. I don't remember what it was though. What the hell was it called? It was some sort of a
It involved letters
yeah,
and arranged in a certain order, and I can't remember any of them.
yeah. They all get blurry after a while.